Hey guys, thanks for listening to The Cynical Nerd. Please keep in mind that we do not avoid spoilers for any of our topics, whether they are current or past media. Listen at your own risk.
Oh, damn it.
A cup of Joe, and I was like, oh, that's cute. I'm making some tea right now.
Oh, that's
some
good.
lemon and honey in there.
Good.
So it'll really fuck.
Yeah. So fuck real good. I got a new mug.
Oh, okay.
It's backwards, but it says praise the sun.
Oh, no, I can see it perfectly. Yeah. Good for me. Did you ever figure out why your cam was freezing, or is that still a thing?
It's still a thing. I had read that there's sometimes with like the higher input, like higher frame rate, better quality pictures, that too much data is just happening at once. And so just
I was going to say, the file you sent me last week was still way bigger than mine. And I'm like, shouldn't it be the same fucking size?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's like some bitrate thing or something.
That's what I'm thinking. I think when you have a moment, when you get a mom,
screenshot my settings,
like your exact settings, and then I'll just set mine to that.
Same page, page, baby. In the meantime, it's whatever. It takes 2 seconds to restart it.
But even the video, like, I don't know. I'm sure it's showing on your end, but my video is like real grainy, and I don't know why. Like, I don't know. I've messed with the settings, and like nothing really takes that away. So I don't really know what that is. I don't understand. Mine's
a little grainy. Not crazy though, and it doesn't come through in the recordings too poorly. Anyway, this is a super interesting conversation. I was thinking about if it was still freezing or not before we started. And also I was like, oh my God, I never uploaded the fucking video episode for last week. So I'm a big bag of shit.
Yeah, you sticky pooper.
And I'm going to fix that tonight. Don't you worry. My mug is also newer. My wife got it for me. I think that is backwards for you.
No, it's great. There's no one else in the world I'd rather have snoring loud as fuck beside me.
Yeah, she got me that for
it's adorable.
For my birthday. Yeah, this was not Father's Day, although it feels like an appropriate Father's Day gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just talk about life and not any of the stuff we have to talk about.
Yeah. Forget all the incredible finales and episodes that premiered this week. Let's just talk about coffee mugs.
Yeah, we have. It's probably going to be a shorter sode because we don't have like a huge pot, but that's okay.
And I just want to burn through it because I just want to talk. To talk about the boys. And
we have things to talk about. Yeah. So how's your Monday going?
Well, as you know, because we've had this discussion already.
Yeah. We're the talent. We don't talk to each other.
Right.
We established that last episode.
I've got a bit of we ate like this like pot roast yesterday, and it's just one of those things that you don't realize that like the older you get, there's some shit you just need to cut out of your diet. This is one of them. This is like ravaged my body. I've had the Rhea all day, on and off. I might at any moment during this recording have to just get up and walk away. I'm just warning you. It's been pretty.
Is that bad?
Oh, dude, I think it's hearing me talk about it because I have to shit right now. I'm not kidding.
It's like taunting you.
Yeah. I'm going to see if this is suppressible. We'll find out. How was your day?
we'll find out.
The coffee is sure to help.
Yeah, I think coffee is what's it called? A non-diuretic. Doesn't do anything to you. My day's going great. I slept in super late. I'm on vacation this week. We talked again, things we may or may not have talked about off podcast. For all the listeners out there, I desperately have been searching to find like either some Wagyu beef or like very high grade marbling, which is basically Wagyu, but there's like prime and choice and whatever USDA grades. Because I'm obsessed with this fucking sous vide, and I've always wanted to try like a Wagyu or something. They're very expensive. I found this place not too far from me called Wild Fork. Thanks for the sponsorship this week.
Thank you, Wild Fork.
Thanks for the 10% off with the code TCN at checkout.
Promo code TCN fucks.
We have sponsors. We have the perfect code. It's 3 characters. It's so easy. It's TCN.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, sign us up. Come on, do it. Manscaped.com/TCN. Let's go. I'm ready for the sponsors.
DollarShaveClub.com.
Dollar Shave Club.
Oh, listen, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I 100% have to take a shit right now. Do you want me to stop this recording or just keep it all in one thing and you'll cut this segment out? What's easiest for you?
We can stop. We'll stop.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is real. This is very real. That was not a joke. I think that was the colon emptier. I think that was like like when you're siphoning gas and it starts to spittle at the end. It's one of those, you know.
Does Ron have to get you started with the hose?
Exactly. And then she's got to get out of there quick.
Yeah, we got to empty the tank. Let's get her, boys. All right. Yeah, so we've got like a couple of weekend review stuff, not too much. 3 trailers, again, not too much. Then we have the Obi-Wan
I like your t-shirt,
finale.
by the way, before we get too far from that. It's very nice.
Cheap it online. Yeah, I like it. I got it for free.
Oh, that's even cooler.
I don't remember where.
That's not helpful at all then.
So yeah,
you can get one for free somewhere.
Somewhere, I got it. The Obi-Wan series finale, The Boys episode 6, which was Herogasm. And then I forced Derek to watch a sci-fi show called For All Mankind, 2 episodes, and we talk about that. So yeah, I don't remember what we were talking about pre-ship, but that's okay. It wasn't important. We can just dive right in. Before we do, hey, I remembered. You can follow us at thecynicalnerd.com, facebook.com/thecynicalnerd, on Twitter and TikTok, and hopefully soon Instagram. He still hasn't answered me, at thecynicalnerd. And that's it. Go do those things. And
isn't this how it happened last time though? Didn't he not answer the Twitter handle for a long time? And then
yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't think the email account that I'm sending email to is something like, it's probably not his main email account,
right.
you know? Like I have Chris at thecynicalnerd.com. Dick pics, please, if you will, out there, everyone. But I don't. That's
strictly
not
dick pics.
Yeah, I just forward that to like my personal email that no one gets to know besides me and everyone who PayPal's me money. So
it's a really great way to classify that.
Thank you. We've got some things to talk about. The first one I'm gonna do like the intro to, and then let you talk because I don't know a whole lot. So there's gonna be a new Tolkien book coming in. Is it Tolkien?
I say Tolkien. Some people go crazy.
We've had this conversation. I'm on your train.
Yeah. There's an I and an E. I don't care how it's pronounced in his home country. It's Tolkien here. That's how it's all right. It's Tolkien. Okay. If you're listening to this and you're mad at me right now, if you're some fucking Lord of the Rings purist, just shut up. It's Tolkien. Be quiet.
Yeah, shut your fucking mouth. Shut up. You're so stupid.
Shut up. Just listen. It's a podcast. We can't even hear you.
So there's a new Tolkien book, The Fall of Numenor, which collects the Second Age of Stories. The Second Age of Stories, which was what we know is going to be influencing the new Amazon Prime's The Rings of Power series. And this is what I got from it, and then I'll let you go. Hopefully this doesn't cover everything you would say anyway. Is that J.R.R. Tolkien himself famously described the Second Age of Middle-earth as a dark age, and not very much of its history is or need be told. And basically it was the fall of Numenor, which was like the biggest human city or something like that. I don't know. Your turn. Tolkien me.
So I actually don't know. Here's the thing with Tolkien. I love the Lord of the Rings movies. I love to read like abridged passages on the lore, but I cannot. It's not that he's a bad writer, because that would be absurd to say, but I cannot stand his style of writing. I tried to. The first book I ever read was The Hobbit, and that one grooves. It's very short. It's like 200 pages. It's like it's a kid's book. And then Lord of the Rings is just like, it's just so long. There is so much dedicated to so little. It's just like impossible to not fall asleep during it. I know that there's like fantasy writers who are listening to this and they hate me right now, and that's okay.
Yeah. Fuck you guys.
I'm not talking shit on the guy. He created like my favorite fictional world that there is. I'm just saying. Yeah. The books themselves are fucking boring. They're so boring.
That's 100% fair. That's actually the reason I have trouble reading fantasy to begin with. So that sounds like a nightmare for me. Like, I've discovered that as much as I may love fantasy worlds and I like to live in them, play games in them, listen to stories being told in them, I cannot read them. I have very hard time sitting and giving the time and patience required to just understand everything that's going on, for Christ's sake. I mean, there's factions and sub-factions and different races, and you have to learn character names for all these people. And I know I sound like such an idiot. You're like, just listen. but it's like it's overwhelming to me sometimes.
No, I agree with you. I my whole childhood I just read, like that's all I did. It's not all I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I played video games and stuff, but
I read a ton. Yeah.
But like now as an adult, I just think I don't have the attention span for it. It probably makes me sound dumb, but if I'm being honest, like I have to really love a book to even finish it. I start books all the time. I never finish them. Dune, I just started a couple months ago, got maybe a third of the way in and stopped. Brandon's and even the fantasy books that I do get through are generally like they're kind of made for young adults. They're like not these big overarching crazy stories. They're just sort of short, sweet, and to the point.
Yeah.
There's some exceptions like Brandon Sanderson, like his Stormlight Archives. They're like a big fantasy epics, but even those they take me like half a year. Brando Sando. Other people, you know, he releases a new one of those and they're done the book in a week. It takes me like half a year, so I have to like unsub from all the things. Anyway, I would recommend this though. With Tolkien, I would read his passages from his books. So like if you remember the Bridge of Khazad-dûm scene from, bless you, Fellowship of the Ring, where Gandalf falls down with the Balrog, like reading that, that part is so well written. Like when things are actually happening, it's like you're like covered in goosebumps. There's the part in Return of the King where Gandalf encounters the Witch King, and just the way it's written is so, it's just so, it's like electrifying. He really was an excellent writer. It's all the shit in between the stuff that's happening.
And it sounds like that's what this book
is. And that's what it is. That's what all the like appendices and stuff, that's what they are. So I would never read this. I would never read the Silmarillion. But it's cool that it's coming out. What's interesting about the Second Age is the same thing that makes Rings of Power interesting to me, is exactly what it says in this article. It said it's the least explored out of all of them. You essentially have in the Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit, we are in the Third Age where, you know, everybody's familiar with that one. The first stage is where like creation came into being. It's all very like angelic, and a lot of the races that are in the Third Age don't even exist yet. It's like primarily elves kind of running shit and arguing with one another. And there's like this big downfall that caused the Second Age. And so by the time we're in the Third Age, the world is sort of has already died, and it's sort of trying to bring itself back up. Right. So like what happened in that Second Age is always the least covered spot. So that's exciting for this book. If you read Tolkien and you like his books, I'm happy that this is coming out for you. I'm not shitting on him as a writer again, but I will never read this. I will certainly still watch Rings of Power. I seem to be like the last standing person of Tolkien stands and movie stands who like is looking forward to that show. Everybody is like abandoning ship, saying it's going to be bad, and I just don't understand the basis of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
All right, so the article actually says a little more, which is that whereas Lord of the Rings focused on the villain Sauron's reemergence as an existential threat to Middle Earth, the Rings of Power will largely concern itself with the very beginnings of the Dark Lord's rise. That entails the forging of his many rings, of course, his deception of humanity, and the subsequent fall of the most powerful kingdom in the world, Numenor. It's an island nation that the ancestors of Aragorn once called home, which is most of that I did not know. So sounds kind of cool. It also sounds like a lot of dark fantasy appendices just thrown at you ad nauseum, and I don't think that I could handle that. So I'll just watch the show. Yeah.
Video games and TV. That's where my interest in Lord of the Rings lies. And now, like I said, it doesn't count for nothing because they're literally my favorite movies of all time. But I just can't read them. Well,
now somehow I don't know what the distinct line here is, but somehow sci-fi is totally fine for me. Like I can't do fantasy heavy books, but I can do sci-fi heavy books. I talked about it a lot previously, but I've been listening to the Expanse books on audio. I'm on like the 5th book. I think it's the 5th Nemesis games right now, and it's fucking. I love it. Like I love it to death. But they maybe it's because they deal with places that I know, like Earth and Mars and the asteroid belt, and it's like it's future, but it's not crazy future where nothing makes sense to me. It's all like, oh, that's neat, you know. And I really like when they expand on details in this world because it feels super cool to me.
I'm almost done season 1 of The Expanse. I think I'm going to do what you did.
Oh, you have been watching it.
Watch the show. I kind of had it on hiatus for a while just because so much shit has come out.
So much.
I have watched in the past like 24 hours, like half of season 1. So I'm almost done that.
Cool.
I think I'm going to do what you did. I'm going to watch the show. You finished it, right?
Yeah.
And then do the books. The books go beyond the end of the show, correct?
Oh yeah. So what happened was The Expanse, although like critically lauded by everybody, it just didn't have the numbers.
Yeah.
So it was going to be canceled at SciFi, which is where it started, and then Jeff Bezos, like famously, was so much of a fan of it himself that he bought it through Amazon. Wow. And they made 2 more seasons. They made 5 and 6, but it still eventually got canceled. There are 9 books, and each season basically follows 1 book. So yeah, I mean, I don't. Apparently, they didn't do anything where they tried to cram, 4 books into 1 season. It just kind of stops on 6, and they made some. The ending is not bad. It's not like Game of Thrones rushed bad, but there are still threads sitting out there. So it's like you want more when the show ends. You know what I love about it?
It's the same thing that I initially loved about Game of Thrones. This show has no, and you're probably going to chortle because you're so much further than me, but this show has no issue like killing its characters off, like for no reason. Like there's the medic guy that you kind of fall in love with because he's kind of like a hapless idiot who just happens to be the one with the know-how to like heal everyone. And it's just like in the snap of a finger, he gets decapitated. And it's like, oh, he's gone now forever. He's not on the show anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything, but
yeah, please don't.
It's
I'm really into it. So please don't.
I'm glad you're into it because, and I think I've told you this before. A lot of people, just the pacing of season 1, it just feels a little slower than subsequent seasons.
It is. And there's so many, same thing. I hate to keep comparing it to Game of Thrones, but it's a similar thing with Game of Thrones. With Game of Thrones, it was so many house names and regions that you're like, huh, wait, what are they saying? And with this, it's like the OPA and the MRNC and the, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck all this stuff is. So I'm kind of just like,
well, fortunately you now know basically all of them. So you're good. The MCRN is the Mars military faction. OPA is the people in the outer planets, the Ceres and the Belt. And
what's the CIC?
I actually forget the CIC.
Because that one keeps getting brought up too. I have no idea what it is.
CIC. I actually don't know the answer to that.
APPIC. CIC.
APPIC. Combat Information Center. Okay. Probably just the bridge of the ship. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, I'm glad that you're watching it. Yeah. I didn't know that you had started it. I'll stop glowing about it, but I love the book series. I think it's so fun. It's like near future sci-fi with just enough of like cool, like, well, I don't want to spoil anything.
Did you read The Martian?
I did.
Yeah, that's another good one. Just like, it's sort of like, it's like 10 years in the future. It's like right there. It's like not crazy sci-fi. I think that's what makes it so interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, my friend. Okay, moving on. We got stuck in a weird quagmire there. By the way, weird place to put this. Episode 73. 73. We're gonna have to figure out a thumbnail and a fucking a thumbnail and a title. I don't know what I'm doing that for. All right. We tend to keep politics out of the show for the most part. I was gonna ask you before we started, like, hey, do you want to say anything about Roe v. Wade? And I was like, we have no business saying anything about
last 2 people
Roe
in the
v.
world,
fucking Wade. Except for women should be able to do whatever the fuck they want with their own bodies. That should tell you everything you need to know about where we stand on it. But this is a little political. Maybe that's the name of the episode, just because it's alliterative.
A little political.
A little political. So there was this neat story. I tend to check sites like Politico and stuff just randomly to see if anything crazy's happened. And something crazy had happened, which is that the January 6th committee, who's been trying to piece together what happened on that day and figure out if anything's chargeable, I guess is the whole goal. They kind of blindsided the Republican base and specifically Trump's staff because they subpoenaed this documentarian for footage that he had apparently shot of the Trumps leading up to the January 6th insurrection. It was big news. It was like, everybody was like, wait, what the fuck? Somebody was filming leading up to this, like sensitive stuff. I was reading about it and I was like, holy shit, that's kind of cool. And they said he was doing a documentary that would be released to an unnamed streaming service. Well, like a week later, the streaming service has been named. It's Discovery Plus. The documentarian, I think that's the right word for him. The documentary
the person making
filmmaker,
it? Documentary.
The docu guy, Alex Holder is his name. And the it's going to be called Unprecedented, and it's going to be released on Disney Plus. And all this footage, the January 6th, like subpoenaed, the January 6th committee is going to be shown in that. And I think that's interesting. We might not be a political podcast, but we've covered shows like this.
This was a documentarian who was making like a pro-Trump.
I don't think it was pro or against. I think it was just like he had like never before seen an unprecedented access with the family leading up to the January 6th committee. Whether or not it's going to be in a positive or a negative light, we don't really know yet.
Right. So is this like, is this just about the Trump family and staff, or is it about January 6th itself?
Oh, it's about the Trump family and staff. So
okay.
It's a docuseries that's going to be intimate, and it says unprecedented interviews with Trump, his family, and others who were in the White House. But of course, they had no idea that January 6th was going to happen the way that it did. But like apparently right up to the date, they have interviews and shit like that. So there could be some spicy shit in there.
Some
also,
juice.
It's interesting now that we know what happened to go back and watch, you know, like, oh, maybe that was a clue that this was going to happen or something like that. I'm interested in this.
Yeah.
I would like to see this
me too,
thing.
for sure.
I'm annoyed that
what sucks is it's on Discovery Plus. I'm like, what?
I know. Yeah. Great. Got to make another fucking trial.
Exactly. Oh, dude, speaking of, which we're going to get to later with the For All Mankind. If you have a PS Plus account, you get 6 months of Apple TV for free.
Holy
6 month-a-roons. Yeah.
That's a lot of months.
So I've got that shit for half a year.
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty tight.
That's
pretty tight.
That's impressive.
I meant to tell you that off pod, but I just thought of it now, which is why I got so excited. So
I like it.
Sorry
I'm getting more and more annoyed that like it's been raining all day and now it decides to have a little bit of sun come out, so my face is washing out again. But that's okay. I might be able to just fix it. Who fucking knows? Nope. Anyway, exposure, automatic exposure. That looks better. Okay. Anyway, Discovery Plus. We did that article. Next is gonna like what the fuck, dude. In the immortal words of the Swedish chef, Vert der Ferk. Sorry, I have a t-shirt with that on. I had to plug it. It's a lovely shirt.
I've seen it. It's very good.
Thank you. Kudos to my wife for buying it for me. I don't know if this is like in preparation for, like, you're like, hey, remember James Cameron? Like, I don't know what this is, but I'll just read the title to get y'all on the same page. Titanic.
Come on.
Is coming back to theaters for Valentine's Day 2023.
All right.
Why?
Because James Cameron desperately wants to be in the number one spot for highest grossing film of all time. He had it twice. He lost it to Endgame, and now he wants it back.
Right. Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like he's like, how do I just do this? That works.
Perfect.
It's almost like he's like, I don't care what kind of the quality of the movies I make. It's about the money, Lebowski. Get me the fucking money.
I have always wanted to go back and watch Titanic. I saw it like when it came out when I was a kid, but like the issue is that this is in 3D, and I will never watch a movie in 3D ever again.
Yeah,
I
never
understood the craze. Oh, episode 73, 3D's nuts, 100%. That's the one. And just a 3-dimensional scrotum as the thing. Nah, we'll work on that. I think 3D's
I'm
nuts
thinking
is the one.
I'm thinking Big Lebowski on the front of the Titanic.
Anyway, so I'm out because it's in 3D, but no, I mean it's a good movie. It was the highest grossing film of all time for a reason. It's I think it was the first like really, really, really huge thing that Kate Winslet or Leo were in.
Yeah.
Not that they weren't very well known before then, but I think it was their first like
mega
Grand
blockbuster.
Slam.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think it's cool. I dig it. Consider it Doug.
Can you dig it? Dig Dog Doug. I agree. I think it sounds like a money grab. Maybe it's just like it's either like the Big Lebowski on the stern of the is it the stern or the back? It's the stern, right? That's the front.
Sure.
The front part.
That's what I call it.
The bit at the front. It's either him or it's just like a wad of cash with arms.
The bit at the front.
The little tiny bit at the front of the ship. It's the front bit, isn't it? I'm sorry, it was very offensive to somebody, I'm sure. Okay. Who knows? Go see Titanic. It'll make you cry again, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It is a very sad film. Like at the end when they're dying in the fucking cold. Can you imagine just freezing to death in the ocean? Ugh.
Well, it's kind of weird. Like I always think like I can watch that and it doesn't upset me, but it's like, well, it upsets me in the terms of like the movie that I'm watching, but I'm saying like, if you were to make a movie about 9/11 in that kind of detail and show how hard, like that just happened 20 years ago, that would be like fucked up. You could never do that. But for some reason, if it's over 100 years ago, it's like
okay.
Totally okay. Show those people freezing to death.
Yeah, we don't wear clothes like that anymore.
Able to pick their babies up because they're that's what it is. We don't dress like that anymore. It's okay. If no part of the outfit has like remained in the evolution of fashion, then it's okay to just showcase people dying in that.
There's no Levi's on the fucking Titanic. They're not real people. There's no Levi's on there. Sorry.
Holy shit.
Oh man. Anyway, all right, moving on. So a little bit of video game news before we dive into our 3 trailers. Surprise and good news for Duratio and I.
Yes.
Hopefully. Yes. Who knows? This could be a weird indie side project, or it could be Bloodborne Remastered. From Software's next game almost finished. It's staffing up for several new projects after that. It looks like they're not wasting any time putting that fucking ER money to good use. That's them shekels they got. The Dark Souls studio is on a hiring spree. And yeah, they're saying the next game is almost done. Now, what almost done means in the world of video games, who knows? 6 months to a year. Maybe it's a surprise for this holiday season. Who knows? But I mean, Jesus Christ. Elden Ring was a huge, like crazy success for them, like mainstream in a way that they have never achieved before. And that's saying a lot because I know Dark Souls is famous for its difficulty, but they still sold extremely well for like Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne and Sekiro. So to completely just, heads and shoulders above that as far as sales numbers go, they're probably swimming in the cash like Scrooge McDuck right now. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the ad campaign was incredible. And then people like us who never shut the fuck up about it. I got people to buy that game who played for an hour and then never again. And I don't feel bad about it at all.
My little soldier of From Software. My little FS soldier. I don't know. There's no speculation about what the next title is. We have no idea.
I don't care at this point. I mean, they've put out how many bangers in a row?
Yeah.
I would think I would hope, I should say rather, that it's Sekiro 2. I really hope they do another Sekiro.
Oh, I would come.
That would be just excellent.
So many ropes everywhere.
I know.
It'd be like a spider's web.
It's probably going to be Armored Core, though, right? I know the article mentions it. So basically, they haven't made an Armored Core game in like 9 years. That was a really beloved franchise back in the day. And that was sort of, there's only been one since they've sort of re-identified themselves under like the Souls formula. And that was 5, I think, in like 2013. And people who liked, the first 5 have been asking when they're going to make a new one. I guess Miyazaki has been saying since 2017 that something's in development. The 25th anniversary of the first Armored Core is coming up. So people think that what they're going to be announcing is the 6th one. I never played any of those, so I can't say one way or the other whether they're good or not. I don't know if it's a good thing that it's, they're going to return to sort of an old formula. I don't know if any, like what part, if any, of the current team had anything to do with Armored Core. Right. But whatever. At this point, I mean, I literally fell out of love with video games, and playing through Dark Souls 3 just reignited. Now I've played every Souls game, all other than Bloodborne. Haven't beaten it yet. I'm getting there though. I'm trying. But it sort of reignited my appreciation for video games. So I mean, at this point, whatever they do, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, and I mean, they were rumored to be working on the new Armored Core game alongside Elden Ring as far back as like January of this year. So very well could be that. I mean, and it looks like they're taking some influence from their... I never played the original Armored Core games. I never touched them. I know they're mech-based combat. But from what I have gathered through rumors and such online, it seems like they're taking... at least a little bit of influence from their Souls-like stuff as far as boss fights in Armored Core will be, and that it's going to be some huge open world. I don't know anything about the lore or anything about that world. There was rumors that the new game is set on a planet called Bashtar. Cool.
All right, sure. But
I don't care.
Might as well be.
Is it fucking fun to play? That's all I'm really concerned about. All right, moving on. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Now we got trailers to talk about. And the first one is exciting. The first one is the trailer for season 4 of What We Do in the Shadows, which actually premieres quite soon, July 12th. It's not too far away at all. It'll actually be coming out the week after we go see Thor 4 together.
Thor 4.
Thor floor. Thor. I don't know where they all came from. Okay. This trailer was pretty funny. I don't know.
Yeah.
One thing that concerns me, although I don't think it'll be an issue when the show comes out, the CGI for child Colin Robinson doesn't look great, but I think that's kind of I think there's a joke there.
I feel like that's sort of the gimmick. He just looks so absurd.
Yeah, like the trailer starts with like him riding this old rickety fucking tricycle it's fucking hilarious. I can't wait for this show to come back. Me neither.
But the one show I want to point out is like, what are you guys? Oh, we're polyamorous. Like, I call that being a dirty hippie. It was like, oh God, you got me. I love this show so much. My God.
Yeah, it's really good. There's like a through line here of holy shit, I forget his name. Laszlo, Nadia, and who's the other one?
Laszlo, Nadia, yeah, and Guillermo, and what's the other guy's name? Oh, come on with this shit. What is his name?
We know it. We've watched it so much.
It's Nandor.
Nandor. Thank you.
There we go.
Honey. Nandor.
And thank you, Ron. And that's the character I was trying to think of. So
Chris said, "Stay off the podcast. It's none of your business."
I did not. Did you do this to me? Tell me the truth. She's gonna be mad at me.
She's gonna be mad until she hears this episode. Yeah,
she's gonna bump me below peep now.
Oh boy.
One of the 3 lines in this trailer appears that Ron, I love you to fucking pieces. I want you to know that. One of the 3 lines of the season looks to be Nandor really trying to find love. And one of the jokes in this is that he's resurrected all 72 of his dead ex-wives. It just looks really fun. They open up a nightclub. It's just all stuff that feels really in character. There's one thing I'm a little disappointed about. And we actually talked about this at the season finale of season 3. Season 3 finale. There we go. I got there. Which is that it set them up to really change the dynamic of the show, it felt like. And now it seems kind of just back to where it was, which I know it's
Veronica said the same thing. When
it's a sitcom, and I get that. It's just that, the end of season 3 had Nandor and Guillermo like traveling to another country. And things, Colin was dead. Obviously, we know he wasn't dead because they hinted at his, baby form. But things just look like they were going to be different. And it feels like they're probably going to write it off in the first episode, and they're all going to be back.
And you can explain that away by saying like, yeah, sure, it's a sitcom, and you're right. But at the same time, it's like, then why split them up? Just why even? There was no point.
Why
to really
even
do that.
Act like you're going to do
to
that?
Pretend there's some like weird new direction you're going in. It's just, I don't know, bizarre. But
then again, we don't see Nandor, I don't think, in this trailer in that nightclub. We do see him in a lot of shots with Guillermo. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's more than just an episode. Yeah. I mean, maybe / hopefully it's later in the season. I don't fucking know. I'm not going to get my hopes up. Here's the bottom line for me, at least. If the show's still as funny as it has been, then I don't really give a shit all that much. As long as you keep things fresh and funny, I'm on board.
I just hope they don't go the route of It's Always Sunny and like they just become too self-aware about their brand of humor and then just like crystallize it. I don't know. Have you watched any of the new season? Well, the new season's like 6 months old now.
No, I haven't.
I watched like 2 episodes and was like, I think I'm done. I think I'm officially done with this show. I think it's over.
It's too self-referential at this point.
Yeah.
I haven't. I do what I think you've discussed this before, where I'll wait for like 2 or 3 seasons to come out and then just watch all of them. Yeah. And all of that, I'll like, maybe 60% of it's funny. Not that, they just sometimes you can't all be winners. Okay?
Well, you know how they did like a Lethal Weapon, I think 5, and then I think they did a 6 or like a 4 and a 5, whatever it was. Well, they did like another episode, like another Lethal Weapon episode. And it's like, so you're not just reusing ideas, you're reusing ideas that you've reused already. That's the point that we're at now.
And I bet your main fan base probably ate it up. Like,
100%.
It's so self-referential.
You did another one. Yeah.
Now we're all in on the joke. Okay, we get it. We get it. Fuck you. Okay. In a weird turn of events, our next two trailers are both horror films, which I can hear Scoot already screaming to himself. What?
Yeah, right.
No, not again. Here's the thing. These are both trailers, and I'm gonna just spoil both of them right now. I'm interested in watching both of these films. That's why I put it in the doc, to be quite honest with you.
To be quite frank.
To be frank.
I think that they look excellent too, but the Smile, the trailer for Smile, which I'm going to go ahead and say, if you're listening to this, I'm not going to give away the ending of the trailer. It's a trailer. There's nothing to spoil, but I'm not going to do it anyway because it genuinely horrified me. It made me go, ugh! It made me do that like an idiot, like an asshole. I'm sitting safe in my home.
Dude.
It was really, that whole trailer was disturbing and it gives you this uneasy feeling.
Yeah.
And there's just like this weird plainness that's like creepy about it. It's so hard to describe it.
Yeah.
But like the shot I'm talking about at the end where she's in the car and you see a woman walking towards the car. And the whole point of horror is they make you think that one thing is going to happen, but then another thing happens and it's that other thing is supposed to scare you. And it makes it really predictable. So like anytime it's like you're watching a horror movie and there's this like vacant calmness, you go, oh, something's going to go, boo! And that's
I just rewatched it.
Yeah. And so
I
like
forgot what it was.
She walked up to the car and I was like, oh, I know what's going to happen. She's going to lean down like this and be smiling. Well, that's not what happens. So anyway, go watch the trailer.
I mean, she
can't
leans
wait
down.
for this. It fucking scared the shit out of me. My God, it scared the shit out of me.
There's something to be said about capturing a simple yet like fundamentally horrifying. Like we as humans, we're a social species and we've learned to take cues from each other as a way to like communicate, and to see something as simple as someone smiling at you and how that can be turned into something sinister. It's like a fundamental deep-seated animalistic horror that they've managed to tap into. I don't want to oversell it. It might be shitty. It looks really good though.
It does.
It comes out September 30th. It's going to be in theaters. I haven't paid to see a horror film in theaters in the year. I'm sorry. That's not a reflection of my views on it. The only things that I remember seeing horror films as, I'm so sorry. Surprised the shit out of me. Didn't mean to cough in the mic. I remember being young, trying to get that pusai, taking a young female companion to a horror film, as one does, so that we can bury our faces in each other and not be afraid of the movie. Yeah. But I remember going, and there is something, much like I enjoy seeing these big tentpole films in theaters with people because there's a group reaction. There's also that with horror films. And I get that, and I know that it can enhance the experience for some people. I just don't care to go to a theater. I'd rather be home and terrified than in a theater. And maybe that's all it is. It's just if I'm going to be scared.
Because when you hear other people yelling at stuff that's not scary, you're like,
oh, shut up.
Even less into this. Yeah, just be quiet.
That's a good point. I've heard enough. Oh, hell knows for me to last a lifetime. So
Although movie theater should be scarier. You're much more likely to get shot there than you are at home.
Oh my God. Oh no. Oh no.
Anyway, what's the next trailer, Chris?
Oh no. Anyway, the tagline for Smile before we move on is, after witnessing a bizarre traumatic incident involving a patient, Dr. Rose Cotter, played by Sosie Bacon, awesome name, starts experiencing frightening occurrences that she can't explain. As an overwhelming terror begins taking over her life, Rose must confront her troubling past in order to survive and escape her new horrifying reality. I highly recommend.
Like really familiar, and I can't figure out what she's from.
Right?
And I'm gonna look it up. Mayor of Easttown. She was the ex-drug addict mom. That's okay.
That's 100% who it is. Okay, good for her. She was a good actor/actress in that show.
Agree.
Big agree. So I hope this does well for her. Also, it looks great. You should go check out the trailer if you haven't seen it. Really like some kind of fundamentally scary shit going on. And again, with Barbarian. Now I'll spoil right out in Front Street. I don't like this trailer as much as I like the Smile trailer, but I still liked it because it taps into something that's just one of those like societal things that you think of could happen to you, but you hope never does. And I'm not talking about, spoiler alert, the underground tunnels. That's a whole other thing. But I mean, like, there's much like, even though I'm no longer a young man with a dwindling bank account and have at least a paycheck to paycheck cushion.
Mm-hmm.
At least a little bit, not much, but there's a little bit. We like expensive things. We talked about this last episode.
They're the best things.
They are they give you the most joy in life.
Who wants
Whoever
cheap
said
shit?
happiness can't buy you money is a fucking idiot.
Happiness
it totally
can't buy you
can.
money. I think you maybe switcherooed that a little bit.
Yeah, they're like, but you can't fix being. You know what I meant. Money can't buy happiness, but absolutely can.
Yeah,
Lonely.
100%. Name me one issue in your life that wouldn't be solved immediately by just getting $10 billion
Or at
right
least
now.
made infinitely better,
Yeah.
right? Like you're lonely. Okay, but you can like literally hire people to spend time with you and pretend they like you. And even that would be better than just being lonely, right? And you're like, oh, but you would know that. Fuck that. No. BJ's a BJ, bro. $20 is $20.
True, that's right.
I mean, anyway, there's a fundamental. Where was I going with that? Oh, right. When I was a young man, I always had this underlying fear whenever I used my debit card and I had no cash on me that I would get to the register and it would not go through. Even if like I was positive, like I had just checked the ATM. There's always this little piece of me. It's like, I'm going to swipe it. It's going to say decline. I'm going to be embarrassed and I'm going to have to put the shit back on the fucking shelf or run away like an asshole and leave it at the register. But I would never do that. There's also like a similar fear to that, like a fundamental just being a human fear is that I will rent an apartment or schedule a vacation and get there and someone else will be there already.
Yeah.
Oh no, what's the confusion? I don't know. Where am I going to stay now? What happens to my kids? Like kids, I have one kid. What happens to my son and my wife? Just the idea of like being double booked somewhere. I know this sounds stupid. I swear to God, it's horrifying to me. Like, I don't.
No, it's so weird because if you're somewhere that you've never been before, and that's the whole premise of the trailer. A woman goes to it's like an Airbnb or whatever it's called in this movie, and there's someone there, even though she rented the time. And basically, this house happens to be in like a bad neighborhood, so she doesn't have a choice. She has to stay there with this fucking stranger. And yeah, that's the basic.
Can you imagine?
No, it's
a total stranger that you just met. It's like, come on in and stay.
Once it got into like the tunnels and everything, I was like, ugh. Like it still looks like it's shot well, but there was one shot where she's in bed and she wakes up and he's like, oh, the door locks from the inside. It's okay. And she wakes up and she realizes someone was standing over her, realized she was awake, and then ran out of the room. So when she turns around, the locked door is wide open. Like that shit is like, ugh, like that just like turns my stomach upside down.
You know what? For me, it was all of that. Yes. But the thumping footprints running through the hallway.
Yeah.
Of just fucking. Can you imagine? Like I sleep with my door shut. Like having the door shut, middle of the night. You don't hear anything, and all of a sudden you just hear footsteps running down. It freaks me the fuck out. I can't. I don't like it. This movie's called Barbarian. Also only in theaters August 31st. So this will be out before Smile.
Mm-hmm. This got our boy Bill Skarsgård in it.
It's got our boy Justin Long in it. I don't know if he's your boy. He's my boy. I love Justin Long
as well. I didn't see him in the trailer. How did I miss that? That's weird.
He's just a flash in the trailer.
Right. Okay.
He's in the trailer, but he's in the tunnels and he's only on the screen for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm down 100%. Bill, like you said, Bill Skarsgård, Georgina Campbell, I imagine is the star we saw of the trailer. Justin Long, Matthew Patrick Davis, and the rest I've never heard of before in my life.
Yeah. It has producers from It and The Grudge. So
probably how they got Skarsgård.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, remember that movie I did half of for you? It was like one of the producers of It.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, okay. Was it the I?
Is there
or
some
the T?
legal issue happening here? Like, what?
Yeah. Fucking
just
one.
The other guy didn't want to sign on, so
usually that's a warning sign because you see that shit in like direct to DVD movies.
Yeah.
They're like one of the producers of Fantasia, second unit.
Yeah, but sometimes like people can really stretch that. Like apparently with what was it called, Back for Blood. Well, like the team that made Left 4 Dead. Apparently, it's like two of the people in like a 15-person team that worked on Back for Blood. It's like, well,
still counts.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, we're that's it. That's it. We can review
in the
trailers.
Done.
They're done. We have things to talk about. I do this every week. What's the order you want to do this in?
I actually would like to end on For All Mankind.
Okay.
I feel like Obi-Wan will probably have less to say than
So
Herogasm.
keep
So
the existing order.
I feel like the existing order is good.
Word. Obi-Wan season finale. The show is done. Diggity done. We've seen how it ends. We've seen lots of things. We've seen cameos. We've seen ghosty ghosts. We've seen fighty fights. I don't know. So I think the finale was great. I think the show ended very strongly. I think both episode 5 and 6.
Don't my eyes look dreamy in this lighting?
They do.
Like if we were in a club and you were, let's say you and Sam hadn't met yet.
Yeah.
And we were like 2-3 beers deep. Like not like we're
Yeah.
not like drunk, but we're not sober.
Yeah.
And I leaned in to give you a kiss. You think you would have the power to say no? I don't think you would either.
Mm-mm.
I'm sorry. Continue what you're saying.
No. I was just imagining falling into them. An ocean of emotions. We've finally seen the finale. I think the show ended very strongly. I think episode 5 and 6 were both bangers for me. If the series accomplished nothing else, it did two things. One, it reminded us all that Ewan McGregor is a fucking honey and a superb actor.
Yeah.
He carries the emotional scenes in not only this episode, but the show very well. There's never a hint of like cheesiness in his delivery. It always feels fucking real. I've really enjoyed his acting in this whole show, but especially this episode with the very emotional I'm sorry to Anakin. That whole segment is my favorite of the whole episode, I think.
Yeah.
It's pretty cliche, but it is. The other thing it did for us was give a live action Hayden Christensen the ability to be under that mask and still do some great work. Like almost didn't know he had it in him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying it's like he's going to get a fucking Oscar for it, but like, and this the entire episode for me kind of centers around this conversation with them. The lightsaber fight was pretty great. It felt, I'm going to say this and it's going to sound like an insult, but I promise I mean it the other way. The lightsaber fight felt like almost like a fan film, but I don't mean, normally I mean that as an insult, but in this case, I don't mean it as I meant like they did shit in the fight that I wouldn't expect Disney to put in a lightsaber battle on the, you know what I mean? Like
Oh, do you mean like when Obi-Wan
rocks.
raised his arms up and fucking 40
God.
boulders just raised up behind him and he started pelting Vader with it?
And I fucking loved it.
My God. That's the kind of shit I want to see in Star Wars.
Yes!
That is the kind of shit I want to see people using their fucking force powers for. Not like wondering the whole movie if they have the strength to be a Jedi and then they just lift like 20 rocks and everyone gets on a ship and leaves. It's not fun. Like,
hey, we're not bashing Rey here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we want to see Vader cause a fucking force earthquake and then try to bury
so cool.
Obi-Wan. Dude, the whole fight was really well done. I mean, they had some nice flourishes in there. Everyone did some
incredible. I think
very good.
I don't know if it's the best lightsaber fight ever, but I think it's a respectable opinion to think it is. Like if someone were to say that to me, I wouldn't go like, you know, like I'd go, okay, that kind of makes sense.
There's some sick moves in this fight.
Very, very sick.
Very sick. Behind the back twirls and shit.
Yeah.
I think Obi-Wan stole one of Anakin's moves at some point.
Yeah.
That he did in Revenge of the
Obi-Wan's,
Sith.
is that called wind stance? His like thing he does? I was waiting for him to do that the entire show.
Forget which stance it's called. But that's a staple of his from the Clone Wars, and you know, very cool. And I mean, the fight starts. There's so much good shit in this episode, but the fight starts, and he's like, "I will do what I must."
Yeah.
And instead of saying "you will try," Vader says, "Then you will die." And I'm like, "Are we in a rap battle right now?" Was very satisfying. That fight was very satisfying, and I can't say it enough. But that back and forth between Vader and Obi-Wan post coitus, post lightsaber fight. Where he sees Anakin's face, and the makeup work on Hayden Christensen's fantastic.
Really great.
And he sees Anakin and is immediately reminded of his failure and all this guilt he feels. And he's like, you know, close up on Ewan McGregor's honey face, and he's tearing up, and he's like, Anakin, I'm sorry, and he says, for all of it, like every, you know, and he just feels so bad because you know he's been carrying this guilt around. And then Vader lets him off the hook. Mm-hmm. And there's this cool shot where while Obi-Wan is apologizing, Vader's face is bathed in Obi-Wan's blue lightsaber glow.
Yeah.
And then he turns and he and his delivery again. They have this thing going on where because his vocoder, whatever it's called, is like damaged. So like half of James Earl Jones is coming through and half of Hayden Christensen
is
coming
James
through.
Earl Jones? I've been meaning to ask you that every single week. If it actually is, because it sounds. I know he's old now and his voice is very weak now. And so they have to like modulate his voice. So
they did a re-speecher thing.
Okay, yeah.
But it's not like Luke's where they had to just feed old dialogue. I think they had him record all the lines and then mixed it with this re-speecher thing that they used for.
Okay.
So which is why and
it doesn't have the like boom of old Vader, but it still sounds like him. It still has like, the character. So
and the tempo of his voice and the way he delivers things. And holy shit, when he's like, you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. Mm-hmm. And then you see the red come up against his Sith eye. Yeah. And he's like, I did. And I'm like, oh shit. And then
great.
And then the fight ends with Obi-Wan calling him Darth, and that's it. That's all she wrote. He no longer.
And that was excellent, by the way, because I think it was like, I think it's not retcon isn't the right word, but there was obviously with the original trilogy, they were not written. They were written one by one, like the whole thing. Right. That's why the most famous one is that Luke and Leia kiss, and then it turns out that they're siblings.
Yeah.
But there's other shit that's weird, like Darth, we come to find out is just a title for a Sith. And Obi-Wan calls him Darth in A New Hope, like when they're fighting, like, you can't win, Darth, or whatever he says. Yeah. And it's kind of like, uses it as if it's his first name. So it makes you think maybe they didn't have planned out then that his just literal name was not Darth Vader. And he almost slings it at him in that instant, like almost like an insult, like, okay, if that's what you are, then I'm going to call you by your title. It's like all you and I having a falling out and being like, all right, Mr. Reed, you know, like, fuck you, bitch. That's what you are to me now. So that was a cool way of like, it's not a retcon technically, but you understand what I'm saying. I feel like it like lent something to that 40-year-old scene where he calls him Darth. And
well, they did a lot of like subtle work in this episode to make things still fit together the way they're supposed to. Mm-hmm. Obi-Wan gets a nice goodbye scene with little Leia, which, oh, Jesus fucking Christ, the tears. You may not have cried during that scene, but you better believe that I did. When he's like talking about the gifts from her mother and her father. Yeah. He's like, you got your wisdom and clarity and whatever from your mother. But then he's like, you got, fearlessness and determination. And those are gifts from your father. And he's like, I'm basically like, I'm sorry, I can't tell you any more about them. And she looks at Bail Organa and she's like, that's okay. Yeah. Like she's like, I got loving parents. Like, I know that some shit went down. Yeah. But then the whole point of that was not to talk about that part, but to say that then he stages it so cleverly. And he's like, look, people can't know that we know each other because that's a giveaway that something else is going on. He's like, you can't call on me. You can't act like you know who I am. You have to act like we're strangers. Yeah. And so everyone was like, well, how the fuck can he have this adventure with Leia when she's little? And then when she calls him, she's like, you fought with my father in the Clone Wars, Ben Kenobi, please help me. And it's like, well, he said, he's like, bitch, don't call me by my fucking real name. So they just clever. There's like, whatever. Look, haha, still makes sense. Here's a Band-Aid for this scene. And here's the Darth Band-Aid. Yeah. I
didn't cry there, but I'll tell you where I did cry.
Tell me.
That's something about when, is it Reva? Reva. Yeah. Is fighting Uncle Owen. And she says, you love the boy as if he was your own. Good. And his fucking delivery when he goes, he is my own. I was like, Uncle Owen. My God, what a fucking baller, too. Jesus Christ. I guess she was injured, and that's the only reason that even kind of went sort of in a good way. But just the fact that they're on this railing, he just has like a piece of metal, and he's fighting a fucking Inquisitor who has a lightsaber. Like, I don't know. Just the whole scene was really great.
Beru. I was gonna say she's a badass. She was like, we're not leaving. She moves like a potted plant and pulls out a fucking rifle. Nah, motherfucker, you came to the wrong house. Yeah.
I thought it was great. I hope that I said on the show, I knew maybe this was like a common thing everybody was saying. I don't know. I'm not trying to sound like Mr. Smart Guy, but I knew that there was going to culminate in a duel between them in which Obi-Wan started to win, cut his mask, saw his face, and then went, oh, I can't do it. Because it wouldn't make sense for it to end any other way. We essentially see in A New Hope, he's fighting. I don't know if he's really winning or losing, but there's some point where he just goes like, I can't do this. Like, this isn't my fight anymore. So we already see in A New Hope that he has this kind of, not hopelessness, but like it's not his duty anymore. It's
like a resignation. It's
resignation.
like
That's a good way to put it.
It's like I've played my part in the story, and I'm just here to distract you so they can get away because they're the ones who are going to finish it.
Yeah,
like Luke's grown now; he knows.
But overall, I will say about the show as a whole, I think it would have been better as a movie.
Yeah.
I think that there was a lot of fat that could have been trimmed. There was some pacing. The last episode was paced so well. And that doesn't mean the last episode is the most action-y episode, but that's not what I mean. With pacing, you have to deal with like, all right, you have to have some action or some excitement. And then like things have to calm down a little bit because when it's all excitement all the time, that's how you get Fast and the Furious. Like those movies are just exhausting. It never ends. So you have to like give a little and then let it simmer and then like turn the heat on high and then turn it back down. And the show is really bad at that overall. Yeah. There were some episodes that did it better than others. The last episode, like I said, was great. First episode, a little wonky. Second episode, I think was good, but overall the rest was like, like something it just wasn't linking right. I feel like there was a lot of fat that they could have cut out and just made a good like 2.5 hour long movie. But in any event, I'm glad I watched it. Like, it's not like I'm shitting on it. The ending justified any bad feelings that I had about it.
It's funny how that happens.
Yeah.
Just give me a sick Vader fight.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, I loved it. Great show. Well done.
I'm not trying to suck our own dicks here, but we have been saying for like 3 episodes that it should have just been a movie. So
yeah,
I'm glad that stayed true. I also, I've talked about this before, so I'm not going to rehash it, but I just love these new shows that are showing Vader like at the top of his fucking game because it's lovely. It's lovely to see him like actually be the scary fucking monster that we all grew up thinking he was in our heads.
So I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking it's like there's all these different eras throughout Star Wars media, and there's like the prequel era, or like Clone War era, I guess you could call it. There's like the Empire era, and then there's like the Old Republic, which was always my favorite, and then there's now there's like the sequel era and yada yada. And one of the ones that's never really explored so much is like, I feel like every era you take has some measure of where like hope is like generally the bigger thing that's like occupying everything. So prequels are mostly all good and then end terribly. The originals literally begin with A New Hope, like the new thing that will bring down this empire. Like there's all this like the heroes are on their way, but there's this period between episodes 3 and 4 where things are really fucking dark and people were just being hunted down and killed, and Vader was, like you said, at his angriest and his most volatile. And like I realized, I'm like, that's the era that we don't see too much of, that I'd like to see more of, just because things were so fucking grim. I think that's why I like Fallen Order so much. You're sort of on the run. You're like a fugitive. I agree. I had that same thought when it ended. It was like, there's this, in my opinion, not enough explored era where things were really fucking. I feel like Rebels takes place in that spot, but it's a kids show, so it's not like
it does.
Yeah.
I was going to bring it up. I was going to be like, but I get it. I mean, there is some heavy shit in that show. But there's also a lot of silly fluff because it's a kid's show. Yeah. So, I mean, Kanan, spoiler alert, dies. The guy voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr. When he dies, like all that shit is really heavy and cool. And, but yeah, I mean, it's a kid's show. So there's an equal amount of goofy, silly shit, in there. Like Loth Cats. Fuck is that? Anyway. Obi-Wan, go watch it. I'm, so far, the only Disney Star Wars show that just didn't need to exist was Boba Fett. Otherwise, I've been happy with the stuff that's come out so far, and I'm looking forward to Mando Season 3 quite heavily. Mm-hmm. I'm also, like, crazy looking forward to Ahsoka, because it's probably going to have Grand Admiral Thrawn in his live-action debut, which is one of my favorite characters in that universe. So, yeah, cool. I did not watch Miss Marvel episode 3 this week. We were going to talk about it, but I was still going to keep watching it. And all week I was like, I could watch that, or I could just put on another for All Mankind episode on, or put some porn on and jerk it. I don't know. Anyway, speaking of jerking it, The Boys episode 6 Herogasm came out. I gotta tell you. Let me tell you.
Tell me.
This show just keeps getting better and better. And at some point it's going to disappoint me horribly. And I know that, but for right now, we're living in the fucking middle of it. And it's
we're in the golden
wonderful.
years.
This episode is fan-fucking-tastic. There is it's like the perfect amount of everything I want in the boys. There's gross, there's funny, there's revenge, there's actual justice. And there's something, finally, someone hits Homelander in the fucking face, right? Like, that's what we all wanted, was Homelander to get hit in the face finally by somebody. Not only by one person, but by three.
Yeah.
In what was a pretty awesome fucking fight. And to top it all off, the cherry on top was Homelander getting to have like a mental breakdown in the mirror before all that happened, and watch him act and like verbalize what we all know has been coming to a head, which is, him viewing his weaknesses, the want to be loved, his last shreds of humanity is what's holding him back. And we all know what happens when those go away.
Yeah.
He's going to be a mass murder machine.
Genocide.
Yeah. I'll let you take the reins first on this one.
Okay, sure.
But Love Sausage is back.
Love Sausage is back, baby, and he's well done. This was a Herogasm episode. People have been talking about Herogasm in the comics since the show premiered, and how it's this totally defamed and just debauched, awful thing. So people have been looking forward to it, and I feel like the showrunners and cast members knew people were looking forward to it, and so they really gassed up the sort of advertising for Herogasm itself.
Right.
Herogasm itself, super underwhelming in the nothing really that grotesque even happens. There's like a grand total of screen time of like 1 minute and 15 seconds of actual orgies going on or whatever.
And it's none of the main characters. And let's be real. When I heard about Herogasm, I was like, there's some you could bring some Rule 34 dreams of mine to fruition in this scene. And I'm not trying to overly sexualize our female staff on the show. But Starlight is a beautiful woman.
She sure is.
And I was like, Herogasm, huh?
Well,
zip. But yeah, no, I agree. They're talking about how our director became a porn director for that, and I'm sure.
And Jensen Ackles was saying oh, I felt gross. I can't wash it off me. So you're thinking some crazy shit was going to happen. Not really. Didn't stop
had to wash some stuff off of him, though.
That's very true. Yes, he did. Despite that, it didn't stop this from being, in my opinion, the best episode of the show so far. Because,
good.
like you said, it has everything. It has drama. It has comedy. It has action. It has closure, catharsis. It has everything in this episode, in the 60-minute long episode. I'm just going to highlight my favorite bits.
Let's see if they're my favorite bits.
Everything with A-Train was amazing to me.
Oh, yes.
There's basically a part where Huey runs into him at the show. He's all souped up on V, so he's like, this is my time to finally get back at this guy. I have superpowers. This is why I started this whole thing.
And he's picking the fight, too.
Yeah, you never said sorry. And then, surprising absolutely everybody, A-Train says, you're right. Seeing someone you care about get hurt is awful, and I'm sorry to you. And he means it. That's the part that fucking blows you away. And then he gets punched
because his boy just got injured.
Huey. Yeah, his brother just got his spine severed.
Yeah, he's not going to walk. Yeah.
And Huey punches him because in that moment he just wants to be mad.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a role reversal happening where Huey's not accepting, you know what I mean?
It's so juicy.
It was really great. And then in the end, after all the shit goes down with Soldier Boy letting off his nuclear cum shot, A-Train runs into, is his name Blue Hawk? I think it's Blue Hawk, right?
Yeah.
And he just has this intense emotional thing where he's like, you're not going to get away with this again.
Yeah.
The coolest way to send A-Train out was how they sent him out. We've known all season, they keep hinting at it. If you ever, run fast again, your heart's going to explode. We knew they were going to do it in some way. I wouldn't have seen this coming. I feel like even earlier in the episode, they have this scene between he and Ashley where she's saying we've had to do hundreds of hours of whatever it was called, damage control with you, because we all know that A-Train is a scumbag. We all know there's been this big discussion on the forums oh, did A-Train redeem himself? And all these people are going into the wall and saying, no, he didn't. And they're right. Of course they are. He's still a piece of shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that wasn't the most cathartic end that they could have possibly done to his character.
Was so good.
Dude,
so
dragging
good.
him behind him and you can just see his fucking skin and bones melting away. and he just stops and fucking falls to the ground. He's like, all right. It's like he was being a scumbag in the right direction for once. Like, rather than doing that to people who don't deserve it, he's like, all right, I'm going to go out bringing down one shithead. There will be at least one less shithead on this planet by the time I'm done. I thought it was fucking awesome. I jumped out of my bed, dude. Like, it was incredible. I love that scene so much.
When I saw what was coming, I was like, holy shit. Because he like punches him in the face or something and knocks his helmet off and then just grabs him by the fucking ankle.
And the sound
goes
effect,
to town.
That like bullet sound effect or whatever it is when he takes off. Oh my God, it was so great.
I would say, so like, I don't know if it was this season or last season, but they were talking about running. I think he was talking to his brother, so I think it was this season. But they were talking about running again to his brother. And he didn't make it sound like the next time you do it, you're going to die. It actually, he said, I think exactly, it's a roll of the dice. I could run again tomorrow and I could be fine, or I could have a heart attack and die. So I didn't, when they showed him like having a heart attack, I'm like, is he really dead?
Some people think he's not.
And, you know, I honestly can't tell which way I prefer. If he's dead, it's an amazing cathartic way to have him go out. He's not a redeemed character. He's still done horrible bullshit. But between understanding what it means to have those you love hurt and killing this bag of shit who we all wanted to just murder ourselves, you're like, that would be cool. But also, if he's still alive, there is room for him to try and become a better person. And I'm conflicted. I don't know which one I want.
Same, because even when he's a shitbag, he's such a good character. He's such a well-written character. So, and the actor is excellent. So you like want to see more of him.
Yeah.
I think ultimately I wouldn't be disappointed if he was still alive. I wouldn't go like, oh, that's dumb. But I wouldn't prefer that. I just feel like that's such a fucking good end to just let it end on that note. But you know, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
My other favorite part.
Hit me with it.
Everybody's favorite part. And that was the fight between
it was so good, dude.
Homelander, Butcher, Soldier Boy, and Huey.
Can I just take 1 second before you start?
Please do.
I'm so sorry.
That's right.
Just the Soldier Boy insult of him going, "You're wearing a fucking cape."
Yeah.
and then Homelander has a pretty equally biting. He's like, "I'm the fucking upgrade."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, all right, let's do it."
Yeah. No, I loved it. Like, there's this moment where Homelander has this like adoration, and you're like, hang on a second, because he goes, "I looked up to you when I was a kid. I watched all your movies," and you go, "Wow." Yeah. Maybe this is hard for him. And then he goes, "You're the only person who was almost as strong as me." I was like, yep, there's the dig. Like, there's the gut punch. And he's right. I mean, the fact of the matter, at the end of the day, it took 3 of them to subdue him. He still got away, and they surprised him. What was so good about that, though, when you get rid of all the, I mean, what was so good about that was fucking everything about it. It was so cool. You see this look on, Carl Urban is such a good actor, because if you get into the mind of a dude who, now we don't know whether or not Homelander actually raped Rebecca or not. I feel like I lean in the direction that he didn't, and she willingly slept with him and had his kid. But still, Butcher believes that's how he copes, that Homelander raped her. So if you had gone through that and you had just dedicated your life to killing this one guy, and this guy is a superhero with laser eyes and super strength and super speed, and then like, just imagine the joy you'd feel on the time he throws a punch at you and you catch it and he realizes you have superpowers.
Oh, dude.
And that look of elation on his face.
The bloody fucking smile is the best.
Yes, dude, it was amazing. It was so like, again, it was catharsis. It was like, you just feel that he's like, yeah, motherfucker, like, I'm one of you now. Let's do this. It was really incredible. But what my favorite thing about that scene is this. It's just the theme that we've been following the entire season so far, which is that Homelander he's not quite unhinged, but he's coming unhinged. I think now we're going to see him totally lose it. But more and more he's leaning into this like, oh, well, I'm just going to do what I want, and people are either going to fall in line or I'm going to kill them. And he's getting more and more powerful. He's getting more and more like obsessed with his own, nothing can stop me, no one's in my way, so what have I been waiting for this whole time? And then just the pure shock on his face when like this guy, even a superhero that he sees as inferior to him, almost kills him. And some human named, fucking Butcher, who's like his arch nemesis that he looks at as like an ant beneath his heel, that he pretty much keeps alive just for entertainment at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then, most of all, fucking Huey, this skinny, nerdy, like whiny asshole, comes in and like punches him again. Dude, it was incredible. It was just so the actual to see this guy that we spent 3 seasons of him being just like a god and referring to himself as a god. To see him horrified when they're holding him down and he's not shooting lasers. He's just so out of control that his eyes are lighting up. Like
he was like a wild animal being held down by animal control. It was fucking incredible.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it was such a good episode.
It was like gnashing and fucking. He's just yelling, like grunting and shit. Yeah. His reaction to seeing both Butcher stand up after the laser. He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like what? And he's like, because he brought Soldier Boy. He's like, you and I were supposed to fight to the death. You cheated. Yeah. And Butcher's like, whatever. He's like, guess what else is coming, motherfucker? It was very good. It was very satisfying. This show remains one of my favorite shows of all time. Yeah. I don't know. I honestly can't think of one that's been above it in terms of just consistent quality. And there's so much paid off in this episode. We didn't even talk about the fact that Starlight, Annie January, she quit at the end of this episode with the live feed. She's done. She's going the good route, but she's doing it the way that she thinks it should be done. Whereas Huey is shooting himself up with temporary V to try and actually fight Homelander on his own terms.
Yeah.
Annie is doing what she thinks is right, which is just exposing them for what's happening. Because, she knows that Homelander doesn't have the protection of Edgar anymore. And then he's going to be in trouble. And, I mean, is he going to go unhinged? Probably. But she's banking on, I think, the fact that there's going to be enough people to try and stop him when that happens. And the fucking question is, we'll see.
Well, that's what's interesting for next episode. Because if you think about it, the 7 has really, like, totally disbanded now. Because
we still don't know where Maeve is.
Maeve, we don't know where she is. A-Train's dead now. Who does he have? Just the Deep? Because Black Noir left to I'm assuming, go find Stan Edgar. So it's just the Deep, right? Who's like the asshole idiot that he just brought in to push around, essentially. Is there anyone else? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, and he killed the other one, the other speedster. He killed him. So he kind of like made his own bed. Oh, dude, he's gonna lose it. He's gonna lose it.
I know.
It's gonna be great.
I can't fucking wait. Anthony Starr still wonderful. He's doing such a great job with.
He's not gonna die. He's gonna win because simply the show would just not be as good without him. So there's no way season 3 is gonna end with Homelander being bested or something.
Maybe he gets locked up or something. Who knows? If they find a way to depower him.
I know Jansen Ackles is not going to be here beyond this season, but that breaks my heart because he's been wonderful.
So good.
The scene where he's talking about like, oh, we need to get Bluetooth Wi-Fi. He's like, you made all those words up.
He's having such a good time being the shitty Captain America.
Yeah.
Doing the fish out of water thing, but to a hilarious degree. Yeah. The bold confidence and holy shit, does that guy have a deep, amazing voice that I want him to sing me to sleep. He's like, you made those words up, like super confident, and I feel like any other actor would risk that being really cheesy as a delivery. It was so good. I actually wrote notes down for this fucking episode just so I didn't forget to bring things up. Speaking of Soldier Boy, his fucking Cosby drink joke.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh my
Bill
God.
Cosby's America. Yeah, he makes the strongest drinks.
Huey is over there cringing at him the whole time, but. He's like, Bill Cosby's America's dad. He's like, that guy makes some strong drinks. And you're like, oh no, he said the thing.
Holy shit.
A-Train's, I said a ride to Justin. Oh, when he was talking to Ashley and she's freaking out on him and she like pulls her hair out.
Yeah.
And you mentioned this earlier and she's like, we did, so many hours. She's like, you murdered people. And then when she called, she's like, go fuck yourself. And she's like, yeah, that's right. I said it out loud.
Yeah. I actually love Ashley, which is weird because she's supposed to be a hated character, but I just like she's buckling under all this stress.
Yeah.
And she's dealing with so much abuse that she's like abusing other people. I don't know. She's just like you feel bad for her almost. Even though she's a cunt, you like kind of feel bad that she's going through what she's going through. There was like a moment of humanity between her and Annie. I don't know if that was this week or last week where she was
where she almost helps.
Yeah.
She's like this close and then you see it just drop off her face. And she's like, I can't help you, get out of my office.
Yeah.
Couple more rando things. One, I'm throwing ropes. Of course, I said that already. MM gets covered. He's like, I need a bathroom right now. He's covered in cum, dude. It's fucking gross. And lastly, I almost put this article in here, but I figured we would just joke about it. The Deep is found during Herogasm just getting sucked off by an octopus.
Right, yeah.
And there was a article that I read earlier in the week that the Boys show made Amazon create a standards and practices department. Like they made it because of this show, which I would not find hard to believe. Even as like a publicity article, like it still probably tracks, at least in some part, to be true. Mm-hmm. And they said that the Boys, Eric, I forget his name, but it's the showrunner. Yeah, that guy, Eric K. That's what we'll do.
That's it.
He said he never had pushback from Amazon for any of the shit they've done. As crazy it has been, they've never given him pushback, except for this octopus blowjob scene, because they were concerned about bestiality. And I guess that like he was like, we were basically like, well, it's CGI and the situation is so absurd that like viewers should understand that we're, it's not. And I just found that to be fucking great, because that's a wonderful scene. They've been playing up his weird obsession with wanting to fuck wildlife for a long time. It was just culminated in I mean, Starlight taking a fucking picture of it. She's like, Homelander's going to love this. So
I love the Deep because he's like, you're supposed to hate him, but I mean, I love the character that he plays. Like, he's just the fucking dickhead from high school that just never got to suffer for any of the stuff that he put people through, except he has to suffer for all the things that he put people through. Like, he's just the ass end of everyone's joke. Even non-soups think he's a fucking joke. Like, he's just a loser to everyone. He just serves such a hilarious purpose on the show. And the actor who plays him does it so fucking well, man. Just capturing that like douchey thing. They did the parody of the Imagine thing from Gal Gadot. I think he opens it up.
So good.
Guys, I've been feeling philosophical lately. Oh my God, it was so good. Dude, it was such a good episode.
It's a really good episode. All in. It's fantastic. All right, we're done talking about The Boys. And we'll talk about episode 7 next week along with something else. What to figure. Oh, we talked about other topics. Yeah. There's 2 movies that have been uploaded we're going to take a look at for next week. I already forget what they are.
One of them.
Yeah. What was the other one? I was more excited about the other one, and I can't remember what the fuck it was.
Me neither.
Who cares? Moving on. Lastly, I made Derek watch the show. I said, "Hey, I've got something to tell." No, I'm just kidding. I said, "Hey, look, something just came out." Well, sorry. For All Mankind season 3 just came out, and I saw that because they were trying to amp it up, and they had released at least a couple of the episodes to stream for free on Apple TV Plus. I think we just missed like the end of the window. Mm-hmm. Sorry, before I continue, Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe was the other one.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Which I'm looking forward to probably hating, but okay. We'll watch it anyway. So For All Mankind, for those of you who don't know, is a period show. There's 3 seasons. It looks like they're jumping a decade or 2 at a time. I think the first season is the 70s. Mm-hmm. The second season is the 80s right now, where I am. And then the latest one is in the 90s. But the idea is like, remember Man in the High Castle?
I never saw
Amazon. Okay, well, you've heard of it?
Yeah.
It's an alternate timeline show. I think it was like, what if the Nazis had won, basically, and like the U.S. was taken over. It's kind of like that, except for that's not the main crux of the show. I mean, it's like a founding principle, but it's not. They don't hinge on that too much. It's mentioned here and there, but this is an alternate universe show where the Russians beat us to the moon, and I think the way they handled that reveal in the first episode was really cool. We'll talk about that later. But it's an alternate universe show. We weren't far behind them. Spoiler alert. Like, we do land someone on the moon. But it's just how it changed the American psyche and how it set us up for not a short space race where we both got to the moon and then basically never went back, but a long-term one where we continue to go back. We try to, again, light spoilers, but we try to establish a base. And then in season 3 is actually about them trying to get to Mars. So they're already trying to get to Mars in the 90s because they've been doing this constantly and continuing to get these huge technological strides that trickle down into normal everyday consumers and Americans. And just as I just read this about 3, which I have not watched yet, but there's like a more advanced version of like an iPhone or something that they helped develop for the show. Just but like they already have like an iPhone in like the 90s because the technology has forced them to, you know, they're just getting more shit. Anyway, Joel Kinnaman is in it, plays Rick Flag in Suicide Squad. I always forget her name, but the actor who plays his wife is awesome.
Rebecca from The Boys. Yeah,
exactly. Rebecca from The Boys. She's an awesome actor. And anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself, but the whole crux of the show is how we react to it, how it changes everyday life. And, you know, I described this show.
Chantel Van Santen.
I would never have remembered that.
Yeah.
She's a honey. She's a beautiful actress. She does a wonderful job in the show. You know, talent wise, she holds great weight in her scenes. Anyway, I had you watch episodes 1 and 2. I literally can't stop watching it. I'm in season 2, like more than halfway through it, which makes me sad because season 3, it means I'm going to catch up to it. And then I'm going to have to wait like an asshole,
like a big goofy idiot. You just got to sit around waiting.
But I love it. I would describe this show as like an alternate universe Apollo 13 as like a show. I love that movie. I love like the drama of like what can go wrong in space. And there's so much of that in the show. I'm going to stop rambling. I loved it. I couldn't speak highly enough of it. It's so perfectly in the Chris Reed wheelhouse that like, I'm done. That's it.
I only watched the first 2 episodes only because I forgot about it until last night. We were actually thinking about recording last night. And then I decided I wanted to spend time with my fam. And so then all of a sudden it was like 9 o'clock. I was about to jump on and stream some stuff. And I was like, shit, there's a show that I didn't watch yet. So I watched first 2 episodes. So here's the thing. Off the cuff, the basic premise of the show is so uninteresting to me. Like, it's just...
Oh, really?
It's the same... Yeah, just because... Well, hang on. Let me get there. Just because... It's the same reason I don't like the What If series. It's like, oh, what if this happened instead of that? And the answer is things would have been different. It's like, yeah, that's
right.
Yeah, I would expect that. Okay. It just doesn't seem like the most, like it has a whole lot to say, you know?
Yeah.
That being said, what I noticed immediately is that the show is very well done. It's very well acted.
Yeah.
The set pieces are fantastic. Costumes, even down to like the cars of the era, like just really, really well done. And then I kind of did get hooked a little bit. Like it is interesting by episode 2. So especially now that you're telling me that they're talking about going, it takes place in the 90s. They're trying to go to Mars. That kind of makes me want to keep watching. Either way, I decided I want to. It sort of sank its teeth into me. Like I just felt like episode 2 getting into the sort of political aspect of it, where you have like Nixon who's trying to smear. I think his name is Von Werner, Dr. Von.
Yeah, Werner von Braun.
Werner von Braun,
famous rocket scientist that we stole from Germany after World War II.
And so, like, that was another thing I thought was very interesting, very heart wrenching, because that's a very real thing. Is that when we, when we won in Germany, like these Nazi scientists, we didn't like make them suffer for their Nazi scientist stuff. We just brought them here and made them build rockets for us and weapons. And
we know what you did, but you're smart. So
yeah, you're smart. So you get a pass. The grunts, we're going to shoot them in the neck, but you guys can come with us. It's a little weird, but it's a little, there's a line he says, "No, I'm never one of these people. Like, don't worry. I'm not going to get into some eugenics conversation and talk about how the end justifies the means or something."
Right.
But there was this really great scene in season 2 where like he's talking to, I don't understand the relationship between him and Margot. But he almost has like a fatherly affection for her.
I get the feeling that she just lived near him when he was relocated to the States, and they kind of like almost like like an adoptive father thing. Yeah. Like I don't think he actually raised her, but I feel like she had a shitty home life and she just stuck to him.
Yeah. And so he, in these trials where basically Nixon is trying to smear him, when it doesn't work, they shift gears into just making everyone know like the atrocities that he not necessarily committed but ignored.
Which is shitty
at his rocket factories in Nazi Germany. And so Margot, when she finds out, is basically trying to get him to say, she needs to hear him say, like, you knew this was happening. You knew people were being hurt and used as slaves, and you didn't do anything about it. And he keeps kind of like avoiding it and dodging it. And then she finally just goes like, "I need to know if you knew." And he says, nothing good ever comes without a price or something like that. And it's not like it was just a great fucking scene, man.
Yeah.
It was a heavy scene. It was just it's just good drama. I love good drama. And
well, here's the thing, because if you like good drama, then you're going to continue to love the show. And I told you the other night, and I said, holy shit, the show has no fucking business. I know that I'm a crier. It's pretty well established. If you're even like a fair weather listener of the podcast and you jump back every 10 episodes, I've probably mentioned how something has made me weep. I'm not embarrassed of that. I'm a very emotional person. It's like 7 or 8 of season 1. I couldn't stop crying. And I mean, like, something happens. I can't tell you what, obviously, going to ruin it for you. Something happens, sobbing openly. Halfway through, it's so fucking, and that's why I love the show, because it's like equal parts interesting, sci-fi drama, like, what does the first habitation module look like on the lunar surface? Oh, well, it looks like something we would have designed back in the 70s, but we never made that. This is all fake. But like, how would the first crew handle being up there by themselves? Because there's just 3 of them for like 100 some days, and like really interesting sci-fi premise stuff. But then the human stuff on Earth is also really fucking good. Yeah. And that's why I keep watching the show. And I just don't want to give anything away, but so part of the, like, I know you said you were like, I don't really care about things would have been different. And that's why I said in the beginning, I was like, it's not really the focal point for me of the show, but it's like a backdrop. Well, the thing is, it spurs some of the biggest plot changes that fuel the drama of the show. So for instance, even if you've seen the thumbnail for the next episode, it's called Nixon's Women. Mm-hmm. It's almost like it forced the U.S. to be more inclusive earlier than we were. Oh, that's right, because over in Russia they sent a woman to space next, or to the moon next. So we bring women into the program in the 70s, and it's really cool because it's like watching how we're basically dragged into being more inclusive by the Soviets. So that's what was cool, is like, the initial, like I said, the initial premise of it, what if this instead of that, is not interesting to me. But like, it's not like things work out in an illogical way. So basically now, after we just had the billionaires fighting to be the first commercial space flight, and it's like whoever ended up losing was like, yeah, but my flight will be safer. It's like you act like the goalpost shifts in some way. Yeah. And that's what happens here. Like, so once the Russians get there first, the story changes to like, oh, we're going to have a safer flight. And then it's like, well, we're going to set up a lunar base on the moon. Yeah. We'll be the first to do that. So it's like, in our timeline, obviously we got there, the Russians ran out of money, and then we're like, all right, we're done. We did it. Our dick is bigger and it's over now. Yeah. But it's like, if it didn't happen that way, maybe it would be just this eternal pissing competition that we'd still be until today. So ultimately, I'm glad I did stick it out for the first 2 episodes. Yeah. I do plan to watch more. The issue is this: I'm really on The Expanse right now, so it's probably going to be prioritized above this. That's okay. But I need you to, if nothing else, even if you the episode that made you cry. Even if you suffer through to it, I need you to understand what I'm talking about. All right. And if you don't like anything else about the show, no, it's I think it's a great show. It's one of those things where, like, I had heard about it a while ago, but I hadn't really read any of the reviews. Oh, random Sadie Bear back there. Yeah, she's been active, man. She's been running. Yeah, she has to go out. So, and Sam's not home yet, so that's why. That's okay. Say, we're almost done. I had read some things about it, but I didn't really know that it was like as well received as it has been. Mm-hmm. And then I kept seeing season 3 stuff coming out. I'm like, you know what? I've been listening to the Expanse books, audiobooks, and I missed that show, and I wish they hadn't canceled it because but I am excited because I'm in book 5 and I only have like one more book, and then I'm in uncharted territory. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen, which is exciting for me. But I just wanted some space, some sci-fi thing to latch onto, and For All Mankind they just snuck perfect. They fit right in. Perfect size dick to my bussy. They've been fucking it. They won't stop. Right. Keep going. There has not been an episode of the show that I have not loved. I don't think.
Yeah.
Loved. I've loved every episode. They deal with a lot of social issues. Again, you know, the women thing is not the only thing. I'm not going to spoil anything, but you can imagine, you know, what else gets challenged.
Yeah.
Treatment of African Americans, you know, all kinds of stuff. But we're done. That's it. Go watch it. If you want to, in my opinion, there's like 3 shows worth an Apple TV subscription. So go watch them and then never pay for it again.
Mm-hmm. Don't say Ted Lasso. Just spare me.
I like Ted Lasso.
I know you do. I know.
And I know that it's like it got criticized because there's like it's unabashedly optimistic, but that's like the
did it get criticized? I feel like I'm the only person in the world who doesn't like that show.
You're not.
Oh,
there's other people. There are plenty of people who are like this is illogical,
and then we can be toxic together and just
so
make each other worse.
That's the reason you watch that show though, is to see everything work out. It's like it's a dopamine drip. Anyway, that's gonna wrap it up. This has been episode 73. 3D's nuts because we're children. It's gonna wrap her up this week. I said wrap her up already. Let's wrap her up now 4 times. Derek, where can everybody find you at?
They can find me on Twitch and Twitter at Dr. Gloom MD. That's
that freaks me out.
MMD.
Got me. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at TCN Plays. That's TCN PLAYS. I've never done that before. I was afraid I was going to misspell it somehow in the middle.
Worked out.
Bro, we haven't gone back to V-Rising, but I have just been farming.
I know. I want to. I really want to.
Like when we go back and you're like, oh, I want to make, go ahead. I filled the chests. They're almost all full. We have iron, copper, glass,
like, can I make
sulfur.
Yes, you can.
I made you 7 already. We've got full, like all 6 servants because I was looking for specific traits. Like some villages when you do missions need like holy resistance or whatever. And not only do I have all 6 servants, but they've all got like the fucking iron armor on.
Yeah.
And
I'm ready for it. I think that like the boys' nights just were taken over by TMNT the past
by the Toidles, which we played again and was a blast again.
Just another blast, another one.
Another blast on the chest of thick ropes like MM. I think we're still planning on doing our hardcore playthrough with
100%.
non-Turtles specific characters. We'll figure that out sometime this week, hopefully.
Absolutely.
That's gonna wrap her up. We'll see you guys next time. Come back now, y'all.
You hear?
You hear?